it was just tough, man. I was, having to just go through day in, day out at Queens, just wanting to not be there and just wanting to, because I found something that I was like, finally, okay, there's this thing that I can run with, but there's no path yet. There's no opportunities that I can like go for.
From Rise High, this is Why Not Me, a show about Kama'aina creators, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. Behind the scenes stories of how they got to where they are and the valuable lessons they learned along the way. I'm your host, Gabe Ame, and in this episode, we get to chat with the talented filmmaker, Nainoa Langer. 5 years ago, this Moloka'i boy was stuck in a dead-end job trying to figure out his next move. Flash forward to today, Nainoa is one of the most in-demand filmmakers in Hawaii who has traveled to more than 40 different countries, showcasing the world's beauty through his lens of his camera.
I want to welcome to the show our next guest to Why Not Me. We have independent filmmaker Nainoa Langer. How you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Hey, so one of the reasons why we wanted to bring you on Why Not Me was, well, first of all, you got some amazing videos both on Instagram and YouTube. So you guys got to check it out if you haven't seen it. But you've got a very cool story. Moloka'i boy, born and raised, went to high school there, and now you've made a living traveling the world, right? Seeing these beautiful sights and sharing these beautiful sights with the world. So we got to talk about this. How did this get started? Let's go back, way back.
I don't know, just low key. If you ever been to Molokai, it's just, really country, super, just everyone's, I mean, it's really small town. And for, most of the people who maybe not know, it's only 7,000, I think, population there.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, born and raised, spent my whole childhood there, went through high school, went to Molokai High. I guess my whole childhood, I want to say I was, pretty used to the Molokai, I guess, lifestyle, and my entire kind of plan moving forward. I didn't really have a plan. I guess that was the plan, was to have no plan. And so, I was like kind of set on, okay, I'll just, go to school, get a job after high school and start a family. That was kind of like the whole, I guess, plan that I had out for myself. But luckily, I think I had like something just kind of inside me that was, okay, there's a little bit more to than just this. There was a bit of an exploratory, I guess, spirit. I would say that I had a little bit, and I just knew, I was like, okay, I want to see a little bit more. There was like a little bit of feeling there. So my first step was like, okay, from Molokai, I'll just go to Oahu. And, I moved over to Oahu right after high school. Tried to do college for like a couple semesters to figure out it wasn't for me. Went to work full time because I had to support myself. And so like from then on, it was just, okay, I had really no direction, I would consider. I mean, like I would say everything was just based off of, okay, where am I going to make money? How am I going to live? My parents aren't supporting me. I got to figure out what to do with my life. And so I kind of just started taking jobs from random stuff. So I worked at Queens at the hospital for a little bit.
What were you doing there? What was your job there?
I was sterile processing. So I was like sterilizing surgical instruments, kind of gruesome, bloody stuff. And it was a paycheck.
Kind of got monotonous. And I know what you said. You started, this was like the early 2000.
This was 2012 through 15 around. 15, 16.
So this is when GoPros first really started getting popular, right? And that's when you started experimenting with filmmaking, right? So why don't you kind of share that initial process?
Yeah, I was actually working at the hospital when I got my first GoPro, because I was like, okay, I'm making some money. I can blow it on, maybe a GoPro here and there. This was, like you said, when GoPros were kind of starting to pick up on social media, Instagram, and like people were posting their GoPro videos of what they were doing. And so I took mine out and I went hiking. I was like, I think I did like one of the hikes by the Poly, like off on like either Natchez or the Polypuka, one of those. Made a little video, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun." You know, I posted it to Instagram, whatever. I just had my friends and family saw it, and they were like, "Oh, this is cool." And then just from there, I think like something just clicked because it was the first time I had, I think, something creative that I had that I'd never really like even experimented before. But I was like, okay, this is fun. Like I can keep doing it. So I'd go surfing, I'd go hiking, we go cliff jumping, and I just take the GoPro with me. And, you know, just started making these little 15-second videos. And by fortune, I just kind of was luckily, I mean, like we live in such a beautiful place. And I feel very blessed that I got to enjoy all of this natural beauty. A lot of kind of like feature accounts started to share my work, and you're like, okay, this is kind of cool. I caught the eyes of several, you know, kind of bigger, just like, I guess they were like the sharing. I remember one of the big ones was GoPro of the Day. It was like a big account, and they shared my, and that was like a huge deal for me. That was like what pushed me. I was like, okay, I got 100 followers. I got 200. Holy, you know, like, I was like back in those days. And it was a big deal because, you know, I was getting kind of recognized for something I'd never had before. And I guess that just kind of sparked like, okay, keep doing it. This is fun, you know. I was still working at the hospital. So it was, like you said, I was it was autonomous. It wasn't anything really like soul filling or anything fun for me. So
working at Queens.
Yeah, working at Queens was. And so, you know, getting out and getting to film was like my happy place. It was like where I was like stoked on life and like doing fun stuff. And so from there, I just kept following that, and I just kept doing it. In social media, like the accounts just kept growing. Like all my work kind of started to get more and more noticed. And, you know, from there I was able to kind of make a leap and just quit my job at Queens and then go full-time filmmaking.
So tell us about kind of the dilemma that you're in. You know, it's been 3 years at working at Queens. You're doing it for a paycheck, but you're at the same time, you're just thinking about shooting and editing videos all the time. So what's going through your head, and what did you end up doing?
Oh man, I remember like it was probably a year after I started working at Queens when I got the GoPro. So I stayed there for another extra 2 years while I was filming. And it was just like being pulled apart. I would say my heart was just, you know, I was doing it for the fun. You know, it was all excitement. It was because I was happy doing it. But filming. I knew, okay, yeah, filming. And then I knew, okay, like I need to continue to make money. I've got to do what I got to do to survive, you know, make a living. And it was just for the longest time before I started to believe I could make a living out of, you know, filmmaking or like being a photographer, videographer. It was just tough, man. I was, you know, having to just go through day in, day out at Queens, you know, just wanting to not be there and just wanting to, because I found something that I was like, finally, okay, there's this thing that I can run with, but there's no path yet. There's no opportunities that I can like go for. And I think that mindset almost kept me at Queens longer than I should have been, because I had the belief there that I was like, okay, I can do it, but am I willing to, you know, make the sacrifice to like make that leap and just kind of go for it? So I think, I mean, timing's everything. I think the timing was perfect. I had to learn what I had to learn, but I think if I hadn't felt that pain or that just gnawing ache of like wanting more, wanting to be there, I wouldn't be as, you know, motivated or as where I am now without that. So it played a big role, because now I know, okay, I'm never going back. Like, and from that never going back, now it's like, okay, only forward. I remember one of the big pushers to push me out from wanting to quit my job and then go full-time filmmaking. I read a book called The Alchemist, which is a really short story, but it's basically about, it's a story about a kid who follows this idea of his personal destiny, and just really, really profound stuff in there that I highly recommend, you know, if anyone has those desires, to kind of read that book. And like, I swear, after the day I finished it, I put my 2 weeks notice in at Queens, not even joking. And it was one of the, like, when that weight feels like it's lifted off your shoulder. It
Mm-hmm.
was perfect timing. Like I needed it, and that was like that push to get me out. So
Sounds like, yeah, you were like in this purgatory phase where a lot of people, we're all in, right?
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
times is where we're doing stuff because um, it's comfortable, I guess.
hmm hmm
But you're not fulfilled, right? And it sounds
yeah,
like that book was that last final thing that kind of pushed you to make your final decision, right?
for
So
sure. And I mean, I consider myself really lucky because I was a single young. I was like 23, and
yeah.
didn't have kids, didn't have any really big responsibilities. So I mean, I understand how lucky I am to be in that position, but in the same sense, I mean, it's like I had to worry about where my next meal was coming from. I didn't have really a big plan after filmmaking, or I mean, after quitting. I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, I know I'll be taken care of somehow. Like I'll make it work somehow. And
So let's talk about that. So you ended up quitting Queens, right? But and at the time you're making a little bit of money
Mhm.
filmmaking, but not a whole lot, right? So you're making some side money from what kind of jobs?
Yeah, so I was honestly taking random jobs, just anything from like weddings to little brand deals from companies or brands that wanted to like sponsor my videos, and
Mm-hmm.
these were like very small, not any kind of like budget that I can make a living off of. So,
Right, right,
um, it was a little, I would consider, kind of irresponsible financially because I didn't have anything to fall back on, but it worked out. I was taking these kind of small jobs that would pay a little bit and would get me by. But at the same time, I was still kind of doing the stuff that I want to do for fun. So I had a YouTube channel that luckily I was like still stoked to continue making films with. And so during these, like, I was filming weddings, I was filming all these commercials or things that I wasn't really stoked on, um, to still have some outlet to create what I was passionate about and then
mm-hmm.
share it with people. That was like very, very huge.
First, you quit your job at Queens or your steady paycheck, and you're like, this is it. I'm gonna do it. And then the first 7, 8, 9 months, it was a struggle, right? You kind of had second thoughts a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think, yeah, for the first 6 months after I quit my job, it was just struggling artist mode, man. I was, doubtful at times. I was definitely just like in a place where if I didn't have that freedom to create or like be free and like just make fun stuff, I would have been down and out, because if I based all of my worth just on the money that I was making from filmmaking, I would have been done. Um, so I had to constantly kind of keep it in my head. It's like, okay, that's not the reason why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I can see this, I can see myself doing this the rest of my life. Like I can see
Yeah.
myself making films for, the rest of my years. And I know if that case, like it's bound to happen eventually, but just because right now it doesn't seem like it's working out, I can't let myself think that. Because if I think, the worst of the worst, I can let myself do that. It'll put me in the bad place. It was a struggle to kind of like keep my thoughts positive, I want to say. But it was also at the same time, because I had a positive mindset, I was like, okay, yeah, this is what's going to push me through. And luckily, as good fortune has it, I think that always works out in the end. Yeah.
So on the side, even though you weren't making money, you were doing these other types of videos that showcase having fun, traveling, hiking, outdoors, showcasing Hawaii. These are the videos that you enjoy doing it, and you're doing it to build, to share on YouTube and build your brand. And
Yeah.
even though you weren't making money on that, you kept doing that, right? On top of what you did to make money. And it happened to be, that's what caught the eye of
Mhm.
Beautiful Destinations. So
Sure.
tell everybody what Beautiful Destinations is and when they came to approach you, what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So Beautiful Destinations is a travel company agency that creates content for hotels, tourism boards, countries around the world. And so basically, I caught their eye in the end of 2016, I want to say. And
4 years ago.
yeah, 4 years ago. That's crazy. I don't want to date it, man. It's
Yeah.
hard. But caught their eye from, like you said, from that style that I wanted to kind of make my own. Um, and it was from the things that, like you said, I wasn't getting paid for, that got to express and caught their eye. So Um, they hired me. I moved out to New York within like a couple weeks. I was a filmmaker, so they hired me to create content, work under them with various hotels and tourism boards around the world, and
Mhm.
they basically sent me to places to create films. And these were ranging from original content, which were like travel videos and travel
Mhm.
films, to working on commercial work with hotels and tourism boards. And the cool thing about them was that they also had a very, very large social media following, still have. Um,
Mhm.
so they were able to kind of be or have more creative control over like the type of content that they wanted to, give to tourism boards and hotels. So that was like a big, very cool thing for me because I was able to bring my own style into it and still create the kind of videos that I wanted to create.
Molokai boy, right? Not too long ago, and then all of a sudden you're getting paid to travel the world
Yeah,
and
yeah.
make these crazy videos. When you're doing this, were you just kind of pinching yourself when you're taking off flying to the next country?
Oh man, yeah, it honestly, looking back at it now, it's like a blur because it just it was so fast too. I would only spend maybe, a week at a time in a place and then it's on to the next one. Sometimes even less. It was like 4 or 5 days. But I remember wanting to soak in every second of it because there was so many times where I just have to like stop and be like, how am I here? Like how am I halfway across the world when I came from a small rock in the middle of the ocean? And I've got like journals and just like pages on pages filled with stuff of just like trying to, soak in those moments and getting to see those things.
And so for you, being a local boy, right, born and raised in Hawaii, and then you're being able to experience a whole different world out there, different cultures, different perspectives. What were some of the main takeaways you got, and when you brought back to you when you actually moved back to Hawaii?
Yeah. I guess the big one was what I think I always wanted to portray in my videos too was people are different, and that's a beautiful thing. There's beauty in our differences because, coming from Hawaii, we're lucky. We get exposed to plenty of different cultures. We got just a whole variety of everything, but we only see it here in Hawaii. So to go to places that, it's kind of like their roots and it's their culture. Um, I wanted people to kind of just, see that same way I saw. I was like, bro, this is different, but this is good. Like differences are beautiful. And like to share that kind of beauty through my work was like kind of the big goal the whole time. And then also, people are generally good. Like I know there's a lot of, big stuff in the news on conflict and wars and all this stuff. But for my travels, like the big thing that I took away was generally people are good if you show love. If you show kindness, respect, like that's what connects us. And I guess when you look at it, we're not that different. Just because you come from a certain place or you speak a different language, like there's still so much universal. You're human. And I think being able to leave and experience all of that just made me appreciate just being home. It made me appreciate everything so much more, getting to see the world and just see different people and cultures. So yeah.
Gratitude, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So, since you no longer are employed for Beautiful Destinations and you decided to start your own business, independent filmmaking business, so you're still doing some side work with them, but you're doing a whole lot more. So, why don't you bring us up
Yeah.
to speed? What's Nainoa Langer up to now?
I kind of kept the trend of being a travel filmmaker, but I think in this day and age, because of content kind of being so quick hitty and like, you can scroll for hours and continue to just see stuff. I wanted to create bigger, longer form, more depth, I guess, story driven content. And so I kind of started to dip into a more travel documentary style of filmmaking where I'm interviewing people, sharing stories, sharing cultures, getting deep and trying to, just get a little more than just the beautiful scenery, but
Yep.
actually kind of tell some stories and bring cultures to your screen or bring cultures back to your TV back in home. I've been doing some travel documentary work still with Beautiful Destinations, luckily. I've also toured with music artist. I think music was a really big passion of mine going forward. From touring with several music artists, I've started now music production. So I've been creating my own music for my films and
That's heavy because I mean, being the filmmaker and doing the video, the shooting the video, doing the edits, that's hard enough. And then now you're creating the music for your videos. That's like next level, man.
Thank you. No, that was like, I think from for a while that was like a big goal. Is like, okay, I want to create something front to back that's totally mine, just like music, visuals, sound design, just everything you see and hear is just like created by me. So it was another big thing to just I felt like it was the next step in creating for me.
All right, hey, we're gonna transition real quick to little flashback on your Instagram feed. So check this out. So what do we see here?
Rad. So this is actually a screenshot from one of the first travel films I got to do, which ironically we weren't traveling anywhere far. This is me sharing a ha with Micah Kamohoali'i, who was one of the characters from our film True Hawai'i, which was with Beautiful Destinations, and my really good friend Sam Potter, who I kind of consider my, I guess, filmmaking partner. But this was just after a scene that we filmed Micah and his halau, doing hula on the plains of Waimea. And it was just magic, bro. Like it started like pouring midway through the shoot. I'm like kind of covered. We're all soaked in water. Luckily the camera can handle, and we're just shooting for like half an hour. Everything's getting soaked, and we got the craziest, just powerful visuals of like them doing hulas and olis on the hill. And yeah, that's Sam there. Yeah. So these are both, and then Kimmy, both from the True Hawai'i film. So
awesome. So moving on to speed round questions. I ask you a question. First thing pops up, just blurt it out. Ready?
Got it.
Last place you ordered takeout from?
I was Thai food from Thai Isan in Market City in Kaimuki.
Last movie you watched?
I've been watching The Last Dance on Netflix. It's not a movie, but it's a good series. Yeah.
Sick. Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah.
Favorite way to relax?
Surf, probably 100%. At least right now.
Something that makes you laugh?
I love stand-up. Xavier Cummings, how's this guy on Instagram, is really funny.
You can learn any new skill. What would it be?
I'd like to be a better cook.
Speaking about cooking, if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would that be?
Oof. This is just coming from I guess, I used to read a lot of his books, but Jim Rohn was kind of like a personal development guru back in like the 80s or 90s. I don't know what time, but I've read a lot of his work, listened to a lot of his seminars. That was the first one that popped into my head.
Okay, last one. What's the best piece of advice you have for, a teenager growing up in Hawaii who's trying to figure out in the world today?
Listen to your gut, your stoke. Find the things that get you stoked to be alive. And I think not so much care about what other people think or what they're trying to tell you to do, or especially be influenced by what we see on our phones all the time nowadays. My biggest advice would be to sit down, be quiet, and just ask the questions that are, really important for you in your life moving forward. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What is it that gets you excited, gets you stoked? I think if I, had someone to sit me down and like actually ask me that when I was in high school, I think maybe my direction would have been a little quicker. But again, timing's everything. Trust in the process. Just trust where you're at now, and it's always good. Always find something positive out of your situation, no matter what you're doing.
Molokai boy, humble beginnings, and you had a dream, you had a passion, and number one, you allowed yourself to be vulnerable by putting your work out there in the world, which it's hard for a lot of people to do. Mm-hmm. But by doing that, give you the confidence to take a risk, take a chance, and follow your dreams, man. And quit that job that you didn't want and pursue what you wanted to do. And look at you, you're traveling the world, you're doing what you wanted to do. And I think that's very inspirational. And that's something that we need to share with the rest of Hawaii's keiki. So,
Thank
hey,
you.
best of luck in the future. Looking forward to seeing what you produce. I know it's going to be big time. It's going to be very cool. And appreciate you being on the show, Nainoa. All right?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Take it easy, brother.
Aloha.